I get 6 tomorrow, so I can sleep in a little more. What's up, y'all? Welcome in. Tap the screen, share the live, get more people in here. If you disagree, send a request. This is an older prompt. It's pretty similar. I think the only difference is the men's rights activist topic and pro-choice. That's why, because I don't want to debate pro-choice. Let me go back to the other one. There it is. There we go. This works. I also like the men's rights activist topic, but you know. Hi, how are you?
Oh, LeBron James!
Was that the reaction you wanted? Crickets. Because you got it. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
What topic did you want to discuss?
That body count.
What's your thoughts on it?
It's my decision if I care about it or not. Not yours.
What?
I said it's my decision what I choose to care about. So you can't tell me it doesn't matter.
Yeah, nobody's saying you have to stop caring about it. I'm just saying people's reasonings as to why they care about it so much are flawed. And a lot of times rooted in misogyny and purity culture.
But they can't be flawed.
Can you speak up?
I said they cannot be flawed.
They cannot be flawed? Do you think people can have preferences rooted in bigotry?
So I can ask you a question. Okay, fair enough. I'll ask you a question. Do you like women? Okay,
like, dude, you're breathing into your mic. We're picking up like every 6th word.
Okay, look at that.
That's why I'm telling you to speak up, because we can't hear anything. It's all blended together. You threw your argument into a blender, and this is the mush that came out. Can you please speak up?
Hello, do you like women?
I'd still nothing. Anybody? Anybody hear him?
Like women.
How? I swear to God, I understood everybody in Charlie Brown more than I can understand you right now. Please speak up.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
I don't think it's a mic thing. I think it's a volume and pronunciation thing. Or enunciation.
Okay, do you like women?
Do I like women? No. Body count isn't a heteronormative thing, though. Well, it's heteronormative. It's not a heterosexual exclusive thing, though.
Is it bigotry? Is it misogyny?
What?
Is that misogyny?
Is what misogyny?
The fact that you don't like women.
Why would that be misogynistic?
Because you don't like women.
You know, people call women with high body counts like whores ran through very derogatory terms just for liking sex, and they get judged for it like crazy. And also, the application of this body count standard is so much more common to care about when it comes to women rather than men. So yes, there's a lot more reasoning as to why that would be rooted in misogyny than any other preference, right?
No, because men naturally care about different things. So we can't say that.
Okay, cool. So people don't have bigoted roots for their preferences. Is that your stance? No guy was ever convinced by the societal view of women as complete dirty sluts if they don't wait until marriage? You think nobody was convinced by that? That nobody could have their preferences rooted in misogynistic ideals?
Maybe they were, but I don't understand how that's a bad thing. How's that bad?
How is that bad? Maybe we shouldn't promote the validity of preferences that are rooted in bigotry that only further stigma towards groups.
Right, so let me flip your logic. Let's say a woman doesn't like men who views certain materials or gazes at women walking down the street. Is it what?
Is it what?
Is that bad? If She doesn't
Viewing
like
women on the street? Are you saying somebody's getting judged for their preference of viewing women on the street? What's the argument?
that they would be viewed as perverted.
Platt-hearted.
Perverted.
Speak up! Why are you getting quieter?
I just
Oh
said
my
perverted.
God.
What did you not hear?
I'm
Perverted.
asking you to speak up and you're getting more muffled and more quiet every time you speak. Speak up. What did you say?
I said perverted.
Averted?
Perverted, you idiot. Listen properly. Perverted.
Perverted.
Yes.
What's perverted? You just said that word out of context. Like,
If let's say you're a guy and you're viewing a woman who's in a bikini and you're just gazing at her, walking by, there's a lot of women who would go, "Wow, this guy's perverted. Yeah, he keeps, he keeps looking at, or you constantly follow women on OnlyFans, etc., etc." So, therefore, that would be an example of judgment. Do you think that judgment is wrong?
are you saying that assuming that men who are ogling women on the beach, of them being perverted, and us viewing those people as perverts is wrong? Is that your question?
That's my question, yeah.
One, I don't think that has to do with somebody's preferences. That's somebody's public behavior that you have control over.
Yeah, but no,
Your
you're missing the
preferences
point
are
there.
supposed to be what you're attracted to, which can be influenced by your beliefs that could be rooted in problematic things. That is very different than how you're acting outwardly towards other people on the street. If somebody's catcalling somebody, you can get judged for that. That's not a preference. That's something you can control.
You're missing the point. I'm using my eyes. I'm not committing a crime. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just looking, and that I'm being judged for that. So then, by that logic, why can't men judge women for what they do?
It's not looking, it's ogling. If you're just if you glance in the direction of somebody you think is hot as fuck, which we all fucking do, you won't get called a pervert for it. But if you're staring at a woman, making her uncomfortable or enough for somebody to bring it up to you, yes, that would be something you can't control.
No, but why would that be an issue? If you look and you ogle, why would that be an issue?
Didn't your mother teach you that staring was rude?
No. Wait, but the person who's being stared at isn't.
I already showed you how it's not a good comparison, because one is a behavior that you have control over and the other is a sexual preference that you're arguing. If you're going to make an argument, make it out of what you're attracted to, not behavior that you're exhibiting.
So let's bring the.
You can just say, like, tall or short people, compare it to any other preference. I don't know why you're using these weird examples that only make you look worse.
Let's compare it to you, right? You are not attracted to women. So if you're not attracted to women, what's the issue with men not being attracted to high body count women?
Why? I said rooted in problematic things. I already explained this difference when you brought this up earlier. I already said when it comes to gay people, there's not a bigoted reason as to why we have that attraction, but you yourself said people can be convinced by misogynistic reasonings as to why they care about body count, as to why they have that preference. So their preference is specifically rooted in bigoted thinking. And you're just saying, you have another attraction, so that must be the exact same thing as this. So what's the difference? And I already explained this. You're not listening. You keep trying to cut off because you're not listening. Go ahead, respond to what I just said. Let's see if you heard it.
What's the bigotry?
What's the bigotry? The bigotry was something you already admitted to earlier. I said there's all this reasoning of how people shame women for liking sex and how it's shamed a lot more for women than men. You said, what's wrong with that? And then I said, that's misogynistic reasoning as to why men care about body count more than women. So that's people's preferences being influenced by misogynistic reasonings. That's how it's problematic, right?
What you said made zero sense, because you just said that they are shamed for sleeping around, right?
Yeah.
You said they are shamed for sleeping around. So that shame that you're talking about is really just a lack of attraction for that behavior.
I don't have to be attracted to bald people, but if I go around calling y'all chrome domes, it's still rude, right?
Right. So let's say you don't shame them. You just say that I'm not attracted to.
Cool. If men kept their preferences to themselves, there would be no public discussion of body count.
Wait. You're not making sense. Why do we have to keep it to ourselves? You don't keep yours to yourself.
Okay, you just said if there was no shame. So I proposed an idea in which there was no shame, and you're surprised by it?
Wait, how is it no shame for me to
You
say
just
no
said
body
if there was
count?
no shame, aka they wouldn't be shaming people for it publicly, right?
Okay. Yeah,
If people weren't being shamed for it, there would be no conversation about it.
if I don't shame them, I just
Hey,
say
the
I just don't
reasons
want.
for that. No, you're not listening. I know it's a very tough topic for you. I've tried to explain step by step, and you've gone very little. Like you haven't moved at all. I feel like you're really not listening to me in this conversation, but I'm trying to explain to you that people believe bigoted things about women, which is why there's a societal expectation of women to remain pure and men can sleep around and they are socially affirmed for it. That is not just because people were naturally predisposed one or the other way. It's because people were societally influenced by society's views of purity. And that is applied more to women than men. So we're not just saying you can't have preferences, because I think that's all you heard in this whole entire conversation. We're saying you can have bigoted views that influence your preferences. And you even admitted that people can have bigoted views that influence their views around body count. And then all you had to say to that was, what's wrong with that? So it's not that you actually are confused about why I believe it's problematic. You just don't care if it's problematic.
No. So first of all, we've established that there's nothing wrong with body count preference, right? So
We
we
didn't.
both.
You're just presupposing that. We didn't.
Oh, you just said to me, as
What do
long
you
as
think
you're
my
not shaming.
stance is? Do you think my stance is we both agree that people can have, like, everyone is entitled to their body count preference? No, I'm saying people can have good reasons for it or bad reasons for it. All of the reasons aren't automatically justified. There are exceptions I make when it comes to body count preference, but we haven't even gotten to that yet.
No, you know. Well, let's get to that. So so you said as
I'd
long as
like
you're
for
not
you to
shaming
respond to
them.
what I said first.
You said if it's rooted in bigotry is bad. Okay, that's basically what you said. So
Yeah, I don't know. I
let's
don't know why you disagree.
no, I'm saying to you, if it's not, if they're not being shamed, and the guy just says, I don't want someone with a body count
You
over
can be
10 or
bigoted and
15.
not shame people, right?
Sorry?
You can be bigoted and not shame people. Even if you're not publicly speaking and slut shaming people, you can still have those views that influence your preference that are rooted in your bigoted views. Like if I'm viewing women as sexual objects and that influences my preferences around the sexual dating pool, that can lead to very toxic preferences in the dating pool that can lead to very unhealthy relationships and outcomes. So I
So,
don't have to shame anybody for that to be a result.
okay. So what are those, so you're saying, so you're saying that so first you said if you're shaming them, then you're saying if it's in your head. So if in my head I believe that high body count women are unattractive
The
because they
only
are.
reason shame was brought up was I said there wouldn't be a public conversation about body count if people weren't being shamed for it.
Right,
That's why I brought that up.
right. So what reasons could I have if I'm not shaming them publicly that you believe are bad?
Well,
So
it's the
if I'm
justifications people provide. I said this is like one of the first things I said in the conversation is it's not the fact that somebody has a preference, it's the root of that preference. And we know the root of a lot of people's preference because they voice it. That's where the shame comes in. That's where the assumptions come in. Oh, they're unfaithful. They're disease ridden. Oh, they don't take relationships seriously. They just view you as a sexual object, not an emotional being. There's so much societal stigma when it comes to body count that is applied so much more to women than men that leads to a lot of people having this view. And when people are justifying why they care about body count, these are the reasonings that they provide, which leads a lot of people to view it as a very bigoted view, typically, because people typically have bigoted justifications for that preference when they voice them.
right. So my reasoning could be because many different men have ran through her, and I just don't want that. I'm just not attracted to that.
That's
That's
just
my
relying on
reasoning.
societal stigma. Why do you care if somebody's quote unquote ran through? Women don't care about that as much. Why do you?
I care about that. It's not your choice to decide. I care about that.
Okay, but we're
I
talking
care
about
about that.
justifications for preferences, not just saying I have a preference, don't judge me. We're asking about the root of it, right? That's where the judgment comes in, is why do you care about this? This whole idea of the words ran through being so stigmatized is because it's slut shaming. Why do you agree with slut shaming?
So what? doesn't matter. You consider it that. In my opinion, that's a valid reason. So what you're doing is you are
I'm
deciding.
asking your justification and you're running from it.
My justification is the fact that I find ran through women gross.
Why?
It's gross. Because many men have had you. That's gross.
Because what?
Many different men have had you. It's gross.
Why? Is it a sense of ownership that you have, or is it a sense of like what's this idea of like other people have had you? Women don't care if men have been with a bunch of women. If anything, men are societally praised for it. So why do you care about it?
Because it's something. What do you mean? So I just told you my reason. So you want to know why I care about it? Because that makes me. She becomes gross as a result of it.
Because wait, hold on, say that again. Your audio is still really muffled. You're still breathing into your mic.
I find women like that gross.
Who finds that gross? What?
Me. I find that gross.
Just no reasons.
I just gave you the reason.
Just gross. You all you said was I find that gross. That's not a justification or a reason. You're just stating that you find it gross.
That's literally okay. 1 second. Why are you not physically attracted to women?
Why am I not physically attracted to women? I was born gay.
Why are you born gay? Wait, no. We know you were born gay, but why don't you find yourself physically attractive? Why?
It's in my brain chemistry to find men attractive.
Why though? Why?
We haven't found the origin of the gayness. You know, there's no like gay gene that we can specifically point to and say that's where gay people come from.
Well, why do you not find their physical body attractive? Isn't that misogyny?
Why do you keep throwing that word around as if it applies to anything else? I've given the justification as to why a lot of the times it's rooted in misogyny for this preference. You just keep ignoring. And you keep trying to throw it back at me, but it just like never lands because you have no reasoning behind it.
You made a.
No, you just keep throwing that word out with no reasoning behind it.
No, there
it
is
seems very desperate.
No. It's because you don't like all women. All women are physically unattractive to you, right? Meanwhile, me, I
also don't like every man. People can have preferences that aren't rooted in misogyny, right?
How is it not misogyny? No, you are deciding what's misogyny.
Do you think just not being attracted to a specific person makes you bigoted towards that person? No. Again, how many times do I have to keep saying it's the justifications that people provide? And if you're saying you have no reason as to why you just happen to agree with this public narrative of slut shaming and saying that, oh, well, a woman is ran through, or if she's been with other men, she's like for the streets or whatever. If you're saying that's from your own mind, from your biology, and that was from nothing societal and nothing societally influenced you, then sure, you're entitled to that preference, and I can't really apply a judgment if you have no reason as to why you feel that grossness. I don't believe you, but I can't judge something if you don't present an argument for me to judge, right?
I've given you the reason. I've told you that this behavior repulses me.
I just said that.
Okay.
You weren't listening. I just said you did not provide a reasoning as to why you're repulsed by it. You're just stating that you are. And if you're saying there's no reason behind that repulsion, I'm saying you're entitled to that. I don't believe you because your opinion just happens to agree with this public narrative of slut shaming because you, one, used very stigmatizing language calling women ran through, talking shit about them being with other men before you, which isn't just about them having sexual experience. It's about you visualizing them with other men, which I think can be linked to definitely some insecurity. That is something that is psychologically studied around men being possessive over their partners and feeling insecure about being compared to their previous partners. That is something that is psychologically studied. That could be a link as to why you care about body count. But that's not for me to judge. I'm just judging what you're providing. And I'm saying I don't believe you when you say that you have no core reason as to why you are repulsed by women who are quote unquote ran through. Definitely not stigmatized language. But you're entitled to that belief. And if you don't provide me a reason, I can't tell you definitively that it's misogynistic.
Okay, well, so you're asking me for my reason for why I find something gross. That's circular reasoning. You might, because here's a reason.
No, I'm saying I believe you have a reason. You just don't want to say it because it makes you look bad.
No, well, how can it make me look bad? I just find those women repulsive because they've been used by those men. Those men have.
Okay, so it's not just grossness out of nowhere. It's this idea of them being used by other people. Are you saying that because you use women, and you want to be the first one to do it?
No, if you sleep with one, and you don't have any kind of relationship with her post that, and you don't like her and you don't anything, it's just a one night, then you have used her. You have.
I feel like you used each other. I feel like you're using that language for a reason.
Well, if they use each other, then let me ask you a question. Why do those women, why aren't they open to being used further? So let's say...
Being open to used further?
Yeah. So let's say, for example, 100 men, let's say she slept with 100 men, right? And then you decide, and then she decides now she wants a relationship. Any guy who just says, "Oh, I just want to sleep with you," she takes as disrespect. Why would it be disrespect?
I don't believe it's disrespect. Usually people provide reasonings as to why they wouldn't want to sleep with her. And based on the language you've used, and the language that men are known to use in those situations, I feel like the only time she would take it as disrespectful is if they provide disrespect towards her in the way they explain.
If they say to her, for example, look...
I think historically women take rejection much better than men.
No, I'm saying to you, right? If you just want to sleep with her, many of them will take it as disrespect for a reason. And number two, many of them will tell you themselves that if they are sleeping with a man and and he doesn't provide, he doesn't do anything, they feel used. They will tell you that themselves. They say, "Oh, this man has used you." So that means they view it as that, and so do men. So therefore, most men do not want to be in a relationship with a woman who gave it for free to others and now is demanding more.
Why are you bringing up monetization, like for free? Do you want them to provide payment or get payment for it?
But relationships...
I thought sex could be about more than just a hole. Do you want it to just be a hole for them?
No, you're missing the point, man.
Because you're saying like, well, why are you doing it for free? I don't know. You just sound like an entrepreneur over here.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that once they reach a certain age, they will demand more things in return. So they will say, he needs to...
I feel like you're talking about bimbos and women that are told to expect things from men by putting out. Do you not think that women are societally conditioned to go to first dates and expect the man to pay, or expect the man to treat her to things to show that he's interested in her? Do you not think that society has told women over and over again to expect that in the dating scene, and then when they expect that, men cry about it and call them gold diggers?
Why would men expect that? No, why would they expect that? That's
because that's the standard that men set for the dating pool. That's the standard they set for the dating scene, for sure.
That's the dumbest thing. Why would men set that? That's something
because they like the power dynamic that comes with courting women.
Absolutely not. This is women who say that, not men. I don't know why you keep saying men.
No, it's men. Men are the ones saying this. Women are the ones saying they're fine with more of an equal field, saying, well, I don't really need the man to be a breadwinner. But the men are the ones saying, well, I need to be making the money. I need to be the strong, stoic one in the household. I need to be the masculine one that provides for her. Who else is going to protect her on these streets? Like, it's the men overwhelmingly making these arguments of this traditional dynamic, not women.
So one second. First of all, those men who do that, there are some, but there are also an equal or more amount who refuse 50-50, who are women. So no, who will say...
It's what?
There are an equal amount of women or more who demand that the men should pay. And if a man comes along who says, you know what, I think we should do 50-50.
There's an equal number of women who demand that men pay 50-50 on the first date.
No, the opposite. So 100, so he pays everything.
So you're saying women also expect men to pay. That was my entire argument. Women who were told by men to expect this standard in the dating scene are expecting this standard in the dating scene, and men are mad about it. That was my entire argument.
This is their idea. Stop saying they were told. This is their idea.
No, women did not originate the idea that they would be paid for on dates.
Yes, they do. Why are you
Who made that up? Who originated that? Which woman said, actually, yes, I like this idea of being financially provided for? Because I'm pretty sure this whole traditional mindset of men going out and working and women staying home in the kitchen and being provided for wasn't decided by a woman, because women didn't have the voice to make any fucking decision. Like, come on. You can't be real.
You think why it's nonsense? Because you're trying to act as if a woman's decision today to choose between two people, one where she's provided for and one where she's doing the providing.
We're not talking about individual decisions. We're talking about who decided this standard in society.
No, because you're trying to use
That's what
that
you're
as a cop-out.
asking me.
You're trying to use that as a cop-out for their decision making.
It's not a cop-out. If you're going to set a
they're not responsible.
Hey, if you're going to set a standard in society that, hey, shut up, dude. You don't listen, so I'm surprised. Like, come on. You should be able to understand the argument I'm making. Oh, unmute again. You're going to get kicked. Just letting you know. Just letting you know.
What?
Just letting you know. You're not listening, so I have to mute you so you listen. It's really simple. I said multiple times that men set a standard in society that women are paid for by men on first dates, and they consider it chivalrous and good traditional standards. That's like a standard set in society, not by women. You're talking about individual women in today's... Listen, I'm not done. You got lost earlier because you weren't listening. Let me finish. Right? You were a little lost earlier. Let's keep up. Yeah, exactly. So we're not talking about individual women in today's society who expect this. I'm saying the reason as to why women in today's society, in a lot of cases, expect this is because that expectation was set by men. Men told women to expect this dynamic in the dating scene, that men are going to be courting women by buying them things, being romantic, showing gestures, taking care of them, physically protecting them. These are the societal standards set by men. This isn't women going on yachts in 2025 trying to get blitzed. This was way before that. And as much as you want to ignore it because it doesn't agree with your narrative of gold digging bitches, it is the truth. Men held the power in society. Men decided how these things were set up. And men are now upset at the power that women are utilizing in this setup because it makes bum-ass men look bad.
There you go. You just said bum-ass men, right? So what do you mean by that? Bum-ass men? Broke men?
Bum-ass men? Men that do not want to provide financially for women because either they're broke or misogynistic but still want to take the benefits out of that. Like a lot of these men that are arguing for 50-50 on the first date because like, oh, well, she might not even put out, but I'm still expected to pay for it.
You literally just exposed yourself. You just said bum-ass men who want to what? Who want to not pay but still gain the benefits, right?
Yeah. A lot of these men that are arguing 50-50 but still argue traditional mindsets are those same ones calling women's gold diggers for expecting it.
You're almost there. You're literally
Am I
almost
wrong?
there.
What did I just say? Because I feel like you didn't listen. What did I just say?
You're almost there. So what are the benefits?
No, that was what I said before. What did I just say that you should be responding to right now?
But I asked you a question before that. I said to you, what are the benefits?
You weren't listening. Buddy, I'm trying to get you to keep up, but of course you're not keeping up when you're only saying half the words that are coming out of my mouth.
You're refusing.
I know it's very hard to keep up. It's very hard to keep up. I was saying women are expecting this because men set that system up, right? Right. So women didn't decide to go into this. They're agreeing with it.
Right. So I'm asking you a basic question. What are the benefits that this bum-ass guy is trying to get? Is it yes or no? Is it smacks? Yes or no?
He likes this idea of the traditional setup, but he doesn't like the idea that he needs to pay for everything. He still wants the traditional relationship without having to be able to financially provide that, right? Because it's hard to provide that in today's day and age. It's hard. In this financial climate, it's hard. I understand that.
Include what? It includes smacks, right?
What?
There's a yes or no, so that is smacks, right?
What is sex? You're not speaking clearly at all, dude.
What he's trying to get in return is sex, right?
I just said it wasn't just sex. I feel like you asked a question, I answered it directly, and then you said... I just said what it was. Repeat back to me what I said.
You said it's a multitude of things that he wants in return.
Cool, so not just sex, like you said I said, right?
No, I never said that. I said sex is the largest component of what he wants in return.
But you just said right as if I just said that when I said something completely different.
Yes, you said there's many things, but the biggest one is sex. So if
I didn't say that.
I didn't say you said that.
You're fighting ghosts in your head because the reason why I keep cutting you off, the reason I keep muting you, because I'm trying to get you to directly respond to what I'm saying, and then every time I finish talking, you respond to whatever the fuck you want. It wasn't what I just said. Like, come
I didn't
on.
say
I made
you
a
said
very
that.
clear
I'm
point.
telling you.
I said a lot of these men that are arguing for the 50-50 dynamic when it comes to paying, but nothing else in the relationship, right? They want the traditional mindset in the relationship of the woman being submissive, of the woman not talking back, of her being inexperienced, of her being virginal or low body count. But they still want to feel like a boss. They still want to feel like the man in the relationship. They set this unrealistic expectation that the woman should split the money, but still be submissive, which doesn't follow this traditional mindset, which I feel is the same criticism that can be applied to the sprinkle women who want to have equality in the relationship, but still want to have this financial setup that is very traditional. I think it's also kind of hypocritical. But I think that these expectations going into relationships are causing harm on both sides. I'm arguing for not having any of these expectations. What are you arguing for?
What I'm arguing for is the fact that those women, a lot of them have given it for free in the past. So you were talking about 50-50, right? A lot of them have given that their bodies 50-50 previously to many men, sometimes zero, no investment required. And then they decide later on in life that actually they require a large investment. And that happens at a time when they've already been had by hundreds of men, or maybe 30, 40, 50. And many
Are you
men
just
would
saying that
feel
like
like,
women are also hypocrites when it comes to this, of women not wanting the traditional roles when it comes to the sexual expectations of virginity, but they're okay with the traditional roles of being paid for? Is that what you're saying?
absolutely, but that's all of them. That's all of them.
Cool. I just said that with the sprinkle thing, right?
Yes.
Women
That was the
essentially
reason
wanting the
why.
financial expectation of a traditional relationship, but none of the other expectations of it. I think it's
That's why I
also
said to you
a
before.
bad precedent to set in society. I think we should argue from the place of complete equality, and whoever is the breadwinner should be providing, not just what they have between their legs.
So now you understand why body count matters to men, because a lot of these women, they give it for free, and then they decide later on that actually they need to do more. And number two, many men, regardless, just don't find that attractive. In the same way, for example,
Men are told not to find it attractive as well, right? A lot of men that don't care about body count are also men that are more liberal or like are fine with this 50-50 dynamic. A lot of the men that are arguing that women shouldn't be slut shamed are also the ones saying one doesn't need to be a leader, you can be in a partnership. That's equality. I'm arguing for equality. I don't think you're arguing for equality. You just like the slut shaming dynamic.
okay, so you know what, you just keep saying slut shaming, right? So you're saying that
I mean,
women
I'm
shouldn't be
calling it what
shamed.
it is.
Cool. So you're saying that a woman who sleeps around being shamed is a bad thing, right?
Yeah, I don't think you should be shamed for liking sex. I feel like you agree with that when it comes to men, but not women.
Okay, so can I ask you a question? Last question. Let's say you're a man, right, and you've messaged many different women on Instagram, on social media. You've messaged them, and or you've hit on a lot of women. So you're known as the guy who hits on lots of women. And let's say a woman is turned off by this behavior. She's turned off by the fact that you hit on lots of different women, and she judges you for that. And she decides that she doesn't want to be with a guy who has hit on every single woman. Her friendship group, her mother, her grandmother.
Yeah, there's societal expectations of players. There's societal expectations of fuckboys who disrespect women and view them as sexual objects. That goes both ways, but it's a trope with one gender for a reason.
Wait, hold on a second. So what's your justification for them being able to do that?
Who said anything about being able? If you're viewing anybody as sexual objects and not as people for relationships and not just hookups, then I would say that's toxic behavior on either side. What's your argument here? I didn't say that body count was the only preference that can be rooted in problematic things. I just said majority of the people who have this body count preference root their preference in problematic things.
Right, and the problematic thing is, well, the only reason I mentioned was just that I find it gross. And in the same example that I gave, that a guy who hits on hundreds of women.
Again, you're talking about somebody's behavior, not their preference.
No. This is body count is also behavior. What are you talking about?
It's not.
Yes, it is.
You can control your behavior. You have less control over what you find sexually attractive, right?
Bro, are you listening to what I just
You're just
said
like,
to you?
well, what if a girl has a preference for somebody who doesn't like punch people? She should have that. She should be able to have that preference, right? People can't control their preferences. It's like you keep bringing up somebody's bad behavior that men are typically judged for no reason, and it's not. I'm telling you over and over again, it's not applicable because one is behavior, one is sexual attraction, and I'm saying if somebody has, again, you're not listening to this entire conversation because I'm not saying point out a single preference and I'll say, oh, every single time that's valid, but suddenly it's not valid when it comes to body count. You're not comprehending the conversation we've had this entire time. Every time I give you reasonings as to why people have misogynistic mindsets around this body count preference, you just keep saying, well, what about this preference? Well, what about this preference? What about this preference? When majority of the time it's behaviors, not preferences. And even if it was, I would still say, look at the roots of it. If you can find problematic reasonings as to why people care about it, hey, let me finish. If you're trying to find problematic reasonings as to why people care about that, I could agree. But you're not providing that. You're just providing examples in which douchey men are viewed as douches. Whether they're ogling people on the beach, whether they're being catcally, whether they're being disrespectful, and they're judged for it. That's different than having a preference, right?
Let me go. How is a man hitting on 100 different women in, let's say, a day? How is that douchey? He's respectfully going to 100 different women, asking for their number. Why is that douchey?
Can you respond to I'm not interested in responding to that. I've already responded to it a million times. Can you respond to the other part of that statement?
You're not responding to this once.
No, can you respond to that other part of the statement? Because you're avoiding that like the fucking plague.
Which is what?
Stop running from the real argument.
Which is what?
How is that douchey? You take the littlest fucking criticism in the entire statement and focus in on that rather than the overarching point that I'm making. And I said you've ignored me this entire conversation. You just proved you're doing it again.
What is it?
Well, bye. You're not listening. Thank you for proving you weren't listening. Over and over again. Because you just did exactly what you've been doing this entire conversation, taking any slight criticism that you think makes men look bad or douchey or like mean, and focusing in on that. You've done that entire conversation. And instead of addressing the actual criticism that I said is that people have problematic roots for their preferences, you ignored that over and over and over again. You didn't respond to it. You didn't make any counterclaims. You didn't make any arguments. You're just like, but what about that preference? But what if I smack a girl's ass and like girls don't want to date me for it? Like, what about that? Isn't that like, are people entitled to their preference when it comes to that? Like, you notice how you're not responding to anything I'm saying. It's pointless. Like, bitch, rewind and listen to how many times you ignored me that exact point. That I said there are problematic roots to preferences, and if you apply this to other standards, they could also be problematic. Like if somebody has a height preference because they have what? Problematic roots for that, then we can address that and say that, oh, height preferences aren't toxic, but if you have bad roots as to why you care so much about that height preference, like when some guys like super short women because they look like children sometimes or childish, that could be a problematic root of that preference, right? Are we saying that you can't have a height preference? No. We're saying look at the fucking root of the issue. If it's problematic, I can call it out as problematic. And the roots of the issue that people are providing on this topic are problematic. And over again, you didn't want to address that. Over and over again. So that's why you were kicked. Jesus Christ. I'm not wasting my time anymore. If somebody else wastes my time like that, they're going to be gone a lot sooner. Next. Also, I saw Bob scroll by. Sad I missed him. Them. Uh-oh, that guest didn't join. Hi, how are you?
Good.
How old are you for TikTok guidelines?
18.
What year were you born?
18?
What year were you born?
Oh, 2000. What? Yeah, 2000. The
great pause of 87. You have to be 18 to be in here. Hi, how are you? Hi. Bleep Lorp. ET phone home. I don't know if your audio's glitching or something. We can't hear anything. Zeepzorp. You have to be 18 or older. Jacob, you have to be 18 or older. TikTok guidelines. Not getting my live taken down for you. Next. Hi, how are you?
Good. And you?
Good. What topic do you want to discuss?
I do think that body count matters.
Okay, why?
I think that it's a risk of exposure when you have more bodies.
More likely to have an STD? Then shouldn't it be a sexual health preference rather than a body count preference? Because it's much easier to tell if somebody has an STD by getting all your partners tested if that's truly what you care about.
Right, but the suggestion would be that if you were testing for the STDs and body count didn't matter, then you should be able to use as many bodies as you want prior to the testing.
Well, you should use precaution, and everybody can accept risks in life, right? Like every time you get in a car, you're accepting the risk that you can get into an accident.
Correct, and that's why I think that it matters, because you wouldn't want to date someone who's a dangerous driver. You wouldn't want to date someone that would be...
Why are you assuming that if they're a dangerous driver? What if they use their seatbelt, use their turn signals, and still get fucking hit by a train or something? Like shit happens
Well, they
sometimes.
weren't paying attention then, were they?
People get into accidents that they can't control. You know that, right? Do you think every single accident can be avoided?
Many of them could be by using awareness.
Okay, sure. That's nice in theory. I've seen plenty of car accidents that are from people driving through piles of cars because they were drunk driving or texting and driving. And I don't think those people sitting like trapped at a red light could have done much to avoid it. But if you want to victim blame them, sure.
I mean, again, I think there are ways that you can minimize the risk. Obviously, you can't
minimize the risk. There you go.
But that being said, if you have multiple partners within a 14-day window and you go test for HIV prior to that 14 days, you will get a false negative.
Then educate people about that false negative.
I'm just saying the body count matters prompt doesn't include like actual well-behaved people. Like it makes an assumption that everyone's doing the safe thing, but it's not. Like that's not accurate.
And even if you sleep with one person or two people and you have a body count preference for somebody with a body count less than 3, those people could still have diseases. So are you getting them tested in the same way you would get somebody with a body count of 40 tested, or only one of them?
Again, it is still a much less likely scenario.
That's not what I asked.
I didn't hear a question.
There was one there. I asked, are you going to get both of them tested or only one?
I am less likely to get one of them tested than the other.
But I thought you said even if they're taking precautions, even if they're using contraceptive or using these preventative measures and trying to do it safely while engaging in multiple hookup encounters or like having multiple, like sex with multiple people, that's still enough of a risk for you to disqualify them from being a partner. But if somebody has a body count of 3, doesn't get tested, you don't know if they were lying about using condoms. You're saying you're less likely to get that partner tested. I don't think you care that as much about sexual health as you do about the stigma.
No, because I don't think that it matters for either male or female.
Cool. I feel like you didn't respond to the majority of what I said, but sure.
Again, I don't see...
I didn't say men.
You also made the argument that they could be lying.
Culture can
and if we're going to have a good faith conversation, we need to assume that they are not.
Yeah, I was listening, and you didn't respond to what I said.
I said that you said the person could be lying, and I said if we're going to have a conversation about people being honest, then it has to be a good faith argument and assume that they're not lying. Because if you just make the assumption everyone's lying, Like, it doesn't really profit anything.
Wait, no, but you're talking about risk assessment. And part of that risk assessment is understanding that people can lie in the dating marketplace, especially if they're shamed heavily for something. Like men lie about their heights if they're shamed for being short. They can wear a toupee and not disclose that information for a while if they feel like they're going to get judged for it. If somebody had like a surgery that they think is very unappealing, or if somebody has breast augmentation or something, they might not disclose that information for a while if they're not comfortable with that person yet. Right? People don't automatically say everything if they're going to get freaking judged for it. And women get heavily judged for their body count. And they automatically assume that guys who are asking about that aren't just asking about an STD. Otherwise, they'd probably ask if they got tested recently. Is that safe to say?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I've dated plenty of women, and I think I've had one ask me if I've been tested recently rather than, how many women have you been with?
Yeah, but how many women have you been with isn't just saying body count. That's asking about past relationships as well.
I think that based on the topic that was being discussed at the time, again, it would be a context clue. But obviously, you can't just say, "Oh, well, we were talking about this."
I don't have an issue with people asking about previous relations. I don't know if I needed to clarify that, but I don't have an issue with people asking about previous relationships. If that's what you thought the prompt was, I don't know.
No.
The prompt is about body count, which is how many people have you slept with.
It's just a simple risk assessment.
Again, I don't feel like you're answering what I asked.
Then please repeat it.
Okay. If we're talking about asking about somebody's past sexual experiences versus asking about somebody's past relationships, one is definitely a judgment and assumptions based on a number that aren't very clear. I was saying I think it would be safe to assume that if somebody's asking about your body count and not just, even you worded it differently too, so you recognize there's a distinction in which people ask about their past. Men who are asking about body count, it is very objectifying majority of the time, and it's specifically just saying, well, this is a number that decides your value in the sexual marketplace, and what judgments I'm going to make of you on that is argued in social media all the time. And it's not just, well, you might have an STD. Majority of the discourse around it is about your character, about how your self-value is, about whether you're likely to be a cheater. There's so much stigma past just STDs when it comes to body count preferences. So of course, when people are asked that question, worded that way about body count specifically, there is heavy assumptions towards people who ask that question and word it that way, rather than just saying, have you had any girlfriends in the past? Am I the first person you've been with? Those are very different questions.
I don't really see how they are.
I thought we were being good faith in this conversation, though.
I am. Being honest with you, I don't.
Well, you're either bad faith or dumb.
Well,
you don't. I just explained specifically the distinction.
I'm not acting in bad faith.
Well, I just explained the distinction. Did you hear what I said? I said there's a heavy stigma about body count being argued online versus just having past relationships. Do you not think there's different stigma applied to either?
That I'm discussing it.
Do you believe there? I'm going to ask again. I'm going to ask. You're going to say whatever you want, and then I'm going to ask again. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead and ask what you were asking.
Great. Maybe it'll be responded to this time. Do you think there's a difference between asking somebody about their body count as it's argued societally versus asking somebody about their past relationships that they've been in and the stigma that's applied to that?
I think there's a stigma applied to both.
So you understand that there's different stigma?
Not necessarily.
You're trying so hard to tread the line here to stay consistent on your argument, but we just know it's different. We know when you ask somebody, oh, have you had somebody? Have you dated somebody in the past? You know that's different than asking your body count. You know that there's different assumptions made about the people who ask those questions and word them that way.
No, because I judge people based on what they do.
Yeah, but it's not just what they do. Because I'm like, oh, where did you work in the past? That's viewed very differently than also judging somebody's sexual history, right? No. It's not just what they did in the past. It's sex in the past and the judgments that you come to. It's not just romance in the past. It's sex in the past and what assumptions you're coming to.
If I know that you sold drugs in the past, I'm going to treat you differently than someone who just worked at McDonald's.
Great. So again, it's not just the number, it's the assumptions. I'm sure people make plenty of assumptions about people who sell drugs in the past. Not everybody comes to as many assumptions when it comes to somebody who has a higher body count, somebody who likes sex or has engaged in a lot of it in the past. Some people don't care about that, some people do. And I think there are societal reasons as to why many people do, especially in religious communities or in America or under certain theocracies, as to why sexual repression is viewed in a positive light in some ways and sexual expression is viewed in a negative light in a lot of ways.
Okay, good for you.
Cool. Want to respond to any of that or just cope?
I mean, I'm not really sure what I'm responding to there. You didn't ask a question.
Okay, I was responding to your claims.
Yeah, usually that would.
I know.
With a
Like,
question as to
is
why I
it
would
really
want
this
something
hard
or
to keep
ask
up in this
something.
conversation? I feel like you say things and then I respond directly to them, and then you're just like, how did that have anything to do with what I said? I don't know if you're not listening to what I'm saying or if you're forgetting what you're saying or not connecting two dots in your head that are like right next to each other, but it was very clear. I said there are problematic reasonings as to why a lot of people care about body count in this country.
Yeah, and I'm suggesting that my reasoning is not problematic.
Cool. If you're just saying STDs, I'm saying that that would be more of a sexual health preference because that is a question you could ask to get to the root of the issue a lot quicker than trying to do some mind assumption number testing in your head based on a number. Because, like, does it depend how
never
old they
been
are?
with anyone, though. Do you need
Does
to
it
be
depend how
tested?
old they are?
I didn't hear what you said.
Does it depend how old they are?
Of course it depends on how old they are.
Why should it?
Because I'm not going to date anyone that I'm not legally allowed to date.
Oh, such a cop-out. Such a fucking cop-out of the answer. You're trolling. I'm sorry, you're trolling. There's no way.
Not. You
You
literally
think
have
my
something on here that says
suggestion
18
when I
plus
said, oh,
only.
does age matter when it comes to body count was not dating minors? That's what you thought I was asking?
I mean, that's what you said.
Buddy, debate the comments. You're being so bad faith. Oh my god. It's like, why does your mind go to that? I was so, like, it's so fucking obvious what I was asking. You're trolling. It has to be rage bait. It really does. I said, does age matter when it comes to body count? Not, are you gonna date minors? If that's what you heard, you're either dumb or delusional. Your ears are broken. Next. Yeah, Alyssa, he's just being bad faith. It's not even worth trying to contest. He was dedicated to misunderstanding what I was saying. That's why he didn't directly respond to anything.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
How old are you for TikTok guidelines?
I am 18. I was born in 2007 because I already know you're going to ask me that because of the other kid.
Yeah, you had a lot of time to do the math, didn't you?
Okay, buddy.
What topic do you want to discuss?
I think putting LGBTQ education in school is not the most logical approach to that problem.
Are you saying there's a better approach?
I'm saying there's a better approach, which is because you also say that we shouldn't have raising children religiously. I think it would be fair to give children both sides and then let them pick, right? Because otherwise you're enforcing one idea. You're basically leading them blind because you're enforcing this one idea in them.
That's actually what I'm arguing for, is giving both sides.
But you literally say separate. You say separation of church and society and anti-raising children religiously.
Yeah, those are different. Those are very different. Separation of church and society is more about government and about social norms rather than is it about like upbringing. And also I want LGBTQ education and religious education in schools. I just think it should be educational, not indoctrinational, right? You should be teaching people about different groups that exist, not telling you to be a part of them, right? But
Yeah,
raising
yeah.
your kid religious is telling you to be a part of it. It's telling you to believe it and affirm it and live your life according to it. That's not very educational. It's indoctrinational, which isn't a word, but I'm using it.
Yeah, but like, how do you propose then that we bring religion into education without imposing it on people?
Well, I was taught about education, religion in schools. It was very basic, but it was there. I learned like, oh, this is what Hindus believe. This is what Buddhists believe. This is what some traditions that they followed and how they come to these beliefs. This is how they view the universe or reincarnation. I learned very simple stuff about that. I think it should be expanded upon, but I don't think you should be like reading scripture and telling people to commit their life to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, we kind of agree there. But I also do think body count does matter.
I mean, do you agree with the first 3 topics now?
I think the separation of church and society is a little awkward, but
What do you think I mean by that? Do you agree with Christian nationalism that's on the rise in this country?
Well, Christian nationalism isn't necessarily. Well, everyone has their own like voice, right? Everyone has their own opinion. So if majority of people agree on one topic, does that mean it's nationalism, or does that just mean majority of people agree on?
They're arguing that we should have more representation or unequal representation of one religion in power in this country. They're arguing that more people in power should be Christian. This country should go back to Christian tradition, which is inherently saying everyone needs to follow my religious rules despite their religious beliefs, which I think is disrespectful to other faiths. I'm not telling you to stop following your religious traditions and to stop believing in God, but you're telling me to live my life as if I did. That's what Christian nationalism is. It's telling everyone to follow the religious rules of one religion.
Okay, and who's saying that?
Christians. In America, at least. It's different in other ethnostates, 100%, but in America, it's definitely Christian.
Do you know what Christianity stands for?
No, I didn't know it was an acronym.
No, I mean, like, do you know what the ideology of Christianity is? Like,
if you're going to say love or kindness or something, that's not the entirety of it. It's also like anti-gay marriage, depending on how you interpret it. Some people interpret it when it comes to slavery, which is like thankfully changed. We've changed our opinions on. But yeah, there's definitely views in there that aren't just love, kindness, kumbaya.
Well, no. First of all, looking at the Old Testament is written for people who were alive way before America was made or any country that exists in this current day. But if you look at the New Testament, it mainly talks about the ideology of loving your enemies like you love yourself. So first of all, no Christian's going to tell you you can't have your religion. In fact, I'm Christian. I have many friends who are part of other religions.
Buddy, they're trying to put the 10 Commandments in schools. They don't care about other people's religious protections. They just want power.
Wait. Did you not say you want to educate kids?
Educate does not mean you need to be a part of. They're telling people to live their lives according to the rules of a religion.
They're educating you on the 10 Commandments in the Bible, which is educating you on religion.
Educate about all religions. If you have education about all religions, that's what I'm proposing. I just don't think you need everybody in power to be Christian to do it. No, Christians aren't arguing for equal education of religions. They're arguing for unequal education of their religion. Stop pretending as if they're arguing for equality. They're not.
Can you name one that is doing this?
One guy that's doing this, Trump. Bringing back Christian values in this country, keeping Christians in power. Definitely leaning into the religious narrative, even though he doesn't fit the bill. But yeah, there's definitely plenty of people in power that are Christian that are fear-mongering about Christian values disappearing from this country, and that causes the rise in Satanism or the Satan controlling this country or demons. There's plenty of religious propaganda in this government.
There's also plenty of LGBTQ propaganda in the country. I'll see you complaining about
those are not diametrically opposed. LGBTQ education is different than religious education or enforcement. I'm not arguing for gay people in power. I'm arguing that we should have the right to the same positions. I don't think you need to fill every position with a gay person. I think that we should have equal representation in education. You don't want equal. Christian nationalists aren't arguing for equal representation or equal treatment. They're arguing for special treatment and for special privileges when it comes to Christianity being represented in this country. Christian nationalism is not arguing for equality. I am. LGBTQ education and equal treatment in society is equality. It's not special treatment.
Okay, so So name one value in the Bible that would make your life worse if you apply it to your
Buddy, it's the fact that we have to live our lives according to the Bible to
but you
begin
can't
with.
name one because the Bible.
Do you think you'd be cool if somebody replaced the rule book of the law book with the Quran? Would you be cool with that? What if they replaced it with another religion's text?
Okay.
I'm sure you wouldn't like it. Because when it's not your religion, then suddenly it's an issue.
Well, no.
Maybe we should have secular education or secular government so that everyone's rights can be protected, rather than just yours first.
Okay, well, here's the issue you're missing. As I stated, there's nothing you can apply to your everyday life from the Bible that will make your life worse. Meaning, even if you don't agree with it,
I don't want to live my life according to a religion I don't believe in.
Okay,
Is that radical?
What do you believe
Is that
in?
radical? I don't want to live my life according to the religion I don't believe in.
It's your right to express it. It's your right.
It's not my right to express it. If you're trying to
Yes,
make
it
it the
is.
government,
I'm not
that
trying to
is
make it
not about
nationalist. I never said
equality. Buddy, you're not listening. You're not listening. You hear what you fucking want. It is not about equality if you're trying to argue that Christians should be in power, because that takes away from
I never said
representation of other religions or other identities. You know that to be true. If you're arguing that LGBTQ education should be stripped from schools, that is not equality. That is not loving. That is not kind. That is not shit you
How
like
so?
pulling up in the Bible saying, well, the Bible says this, so we should strip it from public schools. That is something in the Bible that would cause harm to a minority group that I heavily disagree with the enforcement of, because it should only be a standard that you apply in your interpretation of your religion that should remain in your spaces. It should not be overcoming a country that is so fucking authoritarian. Come on.
So, according to your logic, we should have kindergartners learning about how how a boy can be a girl.
How a boy can be a girl. No, trans women were born women. I hate to break it to you. I know
Trans
that's like the
women were
talking
born
point you
women?
heard, but we don't believe
Trans
boys
women
can be
were born
girls.
women?
We believe that you were born that way.
So then, why did they have balls if they were born a woman?
Because we don't equate sex and gender. I know it's a very tough concept for MAGA people. It's a very tough concept that sex can be different than gender.
Define a
So
woman.
when we're saying males can be women, that means that you can have a sex that aligns with the sexual organs or the physical anatomy of that sex, and then your gender or gender expression can be different, right?
Define
So
a
that
woman.
doesn't mean they have to coincide. So when we're saying you can express yourself one way but have the biology of the opposite, that is not saying they negate each
that
other.
just
And
a
I feel like
illusion?
I feel like that is MAGA people's only argument in the rebuttal is saying, well, if gender can be different than sex, what about sex? You just keep pleading to biology to try to disprove something we're arguing is societal. And I feel like that's just it's only displaying that you don't understand the argument, you don't understand the claims.
So I have a question for you then. Should a 40-year-old man walk in the woman's bathroom because he thinks he's a woman?
I don't think age is important. I
Okay, but
think
you
trans,
should-
I think I typically agree with whatever you are presenting as. And if you're presenting more androgynous or presenting in a way that could make anybody uncomfortable, I think most people typically go to what they are presenting as, whether it's their identity or not. I think there should be no essay in the bathrooms, regardless of gender, because men don't need to put on a dress or lipstick to go grape women in a bathroom. They've never needed that permission from Republican lawmakers. If you actually care about the safety of people in bathrooms, make gender neutral bathrooms, more single use bathrooms, more regulation around policing outside of bathrooms so you can hold people accountable for anybody who commits a crime in that space as a deterrent, rather than just saying, well, we should probably check your genitals before you go in there. It's not productive to the actual argument.
Okay, so according to you, if you appear one way...
Again, do you understand how far away we've got from the claim before? Because you just keep asking me whataboutism questions that go further and further away from what we were arguing before.
Okay.
But what about
point?
this? Well, if you're right about that, you're not actually explaining how I'm wrong. You're just saying, well, what about this thing over here? But what about this thing over here? Can you respond to what I'm saying?
Okay, and what do you want me to respond to? Because you didn't really ask a question. You just stated your opinion.
I stated arguments in opposition to
And
your
I was
claim.
actually going to respond.
No, you want to say whataboutism. Well, what about trans people in bathrooms when that wasn't what we
No,
were
I
talking
actually
about?
never said what about.
No, because I made the argument that sex is different than gender, and you said,
It's
well, what
not.
about 40-year-old
It's
men in
not.
women's bathrooms? Do you understand how that doesn't respond to what I said?
Okay, but you didn't let me finish the point, so how would you know if it
How
were-
in the fucking world would you tie that back to the point of sex being
Well, I was
different
going
than
to after
gender?
you responded, but then you cut me off on my first 2 words.
Go ahead. Can't wait, babe. Let's see.
Okay, so first of all, according to you, if you appear one way, you can go there because you're feeling some way. But what if somebody appears one way, just like with sex, but they feel one way on the inside? So I look like a male, but I actually think I'm a woman. Can I still go in the woman's bathroom then?
Cool. That doesn't apply to gender equals sex. Thank you for proving you weren't going to bring it back to the topic. You just said you were going to tie it back, and you didn't.
Yeah.
You're just pleading to sex again.
The overarching conversation will bring it back.
The overarching conversation is about LGBTQ education, not just trans people's existence in society. You wanted to make it about that because you
cool. So
couldn't
what is a
actually
woman?
debate the
Okay,
argument.
cool. Screw all that. What's a woman?
So again, another
What's a
point you're
woman?
making rather than responding to anything I'm saying.
I actually didn't respond. You didn't answer me. What's
Want
a
to
woman?
pivot again? Want to pivot again? But do you want to pivot
I
again?
actually didn't respond to you. You didn't respond
Hey,
to
MAGA,
me.
want to pivot again? Instead of responding to any of the arguments that I made, do you want to like pivot again?
I did answer your
But like,
arguments.
do you want to pivot again? No, you didn't answer. When I said
Okay.
gender is different than sex, as in your societal
Yes,
view,
it-
how you're viewed
it
societally
actually
or your
isn't different. It
societal
actually isn't
identity
different.
is different than your organs or your penis. You didn't respond to that. You said, well, what about people going into bathrooms? That doesn't prove any difference in the definition of gender and sex being different. You haven't explained anything on
Gender
that
and sex are
topic.
different than why is it in an ultrasound when a child has balls there?
You're
considered a man?
making a different argument again. But what about this? But what about this other thing I heard on Fox News? If you're right and I'm wrong, rather than responding to you, let me bring up another example of something I heard on Fox News. But like, if you're right and I'm wrong, I'm not going to explain how you're wrong. I'm just going to ask you to answer this other thing I heard on Fox News. But like, what about ultrasounds? But like, what about bathrooms? But I'm sure you're going to bring up, what about sports? What about this? What about that? What about hormones? What about suicidality? When you're never going to actually answer what I said, which I'm sure I'd have to repeat to you 6 times before we actually got to an answer for it. I'm not wasting my time with people who don't know how to debate and don't know how to keep up. Point blank. Debate the wall, bitch, because that's who you were debating this whole time. I'm so sick of people who can't fucking keep up. Pay attention to what's coming out of my mouth and respond to it. Don't just respond to whatever the fuck you want. I asked you questions. I gave you arguments. You're not answering his question either. I will answer his questions. I just want to stay on topic. You demanding me to answer his new questions is only justifying that we can stray from what we were talking about before. And I'm trying to stay on topic. If we're talking about the color blue and somebody says, well, why are blueberries that way? And I'm saying, well, I don't really want to answer that. I want to stay on the topic of the color blue. You're saying, oh, you're dodging his question about blueberries. You're dodging, babe. You're not really answering his question about blueberries. I'm like, no, bitch, I want to stay on the fucking topic. Is that clear enough for you? If I can dumb it down a little more, let me know. Hi, how are
Hello.
you?
Oh, I'm good. Can you?
What
hear
topic
me
do you want to
all right?
discuss?
I was gonna bring up the body count doesn't matter thing and kind of. I don't necessarily. I mean, it is a debate, but I want to try to, like, not be argumentative. I guess, if that's cool.
It's not in my nature. What's your thoughts on it?
I can agree and disagree to an extent on both sides, but I would have to say, I guess, if I had to choose a side, I would say it matters only because it shows choices, and you then base how you're going to view a person or interact with them based on what they've done repeatedly in the past.
Okay, cool. So they repeatedly showed that they like sex, and then you can probably expect them to like sex. What other assumptions
True.
are you making about them?
Well, I never said assumptions. I said I judge. Like, if I killed 7 people, you would assume that I wasn't a good person. Not using that as an argument, not trying to sidestep. I was just saying.
Yeah,
that's my point.
it's just like,
Your
it's only
past
saying that you're making the assumption that
influences.
you're just saying, well, I'm judging them as a not good person because they did something I see as immoral. So again, you're making
No,
judgments
I
about a
never-
person based on them having previous sexual experience, and I'm asking what those judgments are.
Okay. My judgments would be then, and I say this, is that if I believe that it's supposed to be, well, no matter how I say it, it's going to sound argumentative. I don't want it to. Well, I mean, it is a debate. All right, let's do it. If I believe, and this is a personal belief of mine, that when you lay with a person, that it's supposed to be some kind of special. So when you then, and I'm not discrediting, because I enjoy sex too, so I'm not saying it's not something you want to do, but
I think
if
that's fair.
I'm looking for a partner, like a partner
If
that
you
I
want your
want to stay
partner to view
committed
sex
to,
as special, that's fair.
and that's the only thing that I say when it matters like
Yeah,
that.
I make
because-
exceptions when it comes to this topic. If you want it to be special, I think it's an assumption I think it's a false assumption to say that like somebody who likes sex outside of a relationship isn't going to view it as special in a relationship, because the whole thing that makes it special is it's your romantic connection. It's not the fact that you're having intercourse with just one person. It's the fact that you're like have an emotional attachment to that person that makes it special. So that's my view on it. You can have your personal view on it. I don't think it makes you misogynistic or anything.
Well, I also find it, and this is my thought too, give your opinion. If I'm with an individual that has had a large past, or just, let's just say a past, because it's not fair to say large or small. If there's a past, there's a past. That I would then feel like every time that I tried to be with this person, I had to think of the other people that have also done this. That feel weird in relationships, because I've had a girlfriend.
I mean, yeah, but it's also
past,
insecurity,
also made
right?
it-
You feel insecure about being compared to their past partners, or you feel insecure that they might like their past partner's experiences more than you. That is rooted in insecurity, and that could be for relationships or sex, or maybe if they have a bunch of friends outside of you, you could be insecure, like, oh, maybe they get better interactions with their friends than they do with me. But like, your insecurities are your responsibility, and if it's something that you find to be a hindrance in relationships, then it's something to be addressed. But if you want to avoid it and you only date people that don't irritate that insecurity, then that's fine. But it is something that would be considered one. Just like if somebody has a financial insecurity and they're just like, oh, well, I want to feel like the man in the relationship, so I want to be the breadwinner. I want to be the one making the money. You'd be like, yeah, sure, that's your preference. You can have that preference. I can still think it's rooted in something a little problematic about a power dynamic, about feeling special or important. And I can think that there's a lot of societal bad roots to that preference that a lot of people have that are rooted in insecurity, about feeling emasculated by not being the breadwinner because of the expectation of men and women in society. But again, you're entitled to your preference. It's just how problematic it is typically justified by how you substantiate it. And I don't think you substantiate it in a misogynistic way so far. I think this idea of like other people's sexual past, you can't see them without seeing their sexual past. I think it would be something that would be defined as an insecurity. I just think it's like pretty common.
All right. That would. All right. Well, I don't honestly know how to take that, in the sense that I thought it was going to be. Thank you, I guess, like for being respectful. Like I didn't want to be argumentative, and I thought I've talked to some people that made it argumentative, and I was like, I don't want to. I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to broadcast this to everybody. This is how we should all be.
I mean, you get the energy back that you're putting out, and so far you've been pretty respectful. So I don't think that you deserve to be shamed for being genuine.
I appreciate that, and I respect your view on that, and I don't know necessarily if I would straight call it an insecurity, but I don't know enough about that topic to say that it can't be.
I mean, I'm not a psychological professional, so I can't diagnose it as an insecurity. I'm just saying it's something people typically bring up in therapy as an insecurity of theirs. It's like, I can't view my partner without seeing the past people they've been with. And it makes me feel like I'm not measuring up, or it makes me feel like I'm less than because of that. So it's like, it's a common thing people bring up as an insecurity. I'm not saying it 100% is, I'm saying it's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, the argument you made there does make sense. Because if, even in my past relationships, like, I guess I'd have to call it in some way, at least somewhat of an insecurity.
Yeah, I think insecurities are too stigmatized. They're very natural. And I think people should feel more fine saying that they have certain insecurities. I definitely do. And I think it's the more we address that insecurities aren't always like make you a bad person or anything like that, the more people are more likely to go to therapy and actually address their issues, right?
Yeah, or I don't. I don't know if I necessarily myself ascribe to.
If you don't want to view it as insecurity, you can just say it's something that could make you feel insecure in certain situations, but you don't think it's
Oh yeah,
necessarily
for
negative.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Like I think you said it better when you said maybe if I don't want to ascribe it as an insecurity, just at that time or in that certain situation, I would or could feel insecure about it. Not. I like that.
But you said
phrase
you can
better.
see how it's viewed as an insecurity and you can see how it could be seen as one. So again, it's not for me to diagnose. I'm just saying typically I would argue that that's what it is. I'm not saying it's what it is in your situation. I'm just saying that's typically what it is when people bring it up like that. About like every time I'm with my partner, I just view them with other people.
I can see that.
All right. Well, I feel like we've come to an impasse. That's pretty much all we can debate on that topic. I appreciate you being respectful.
I thank you for being respectful. That I thought that could have gone way different. I thought, but as you put it out, I respect your opinion. I thank you for talking with me, and I hope, as you said, that I was not disrespectful in my
Bye.
state.
It was getting too sappy. Next. Come on, B13. That's 2 times that you've sent a request and then backed out. Oh, hey, how are you?
Hello.
What topic do you want to discuss?
Well, I wanted to discuss body count doesn't matter, but then I saw you discuss it with that last person, and it seems like I feel like we would sort of agree. So,
Do you agree with everything he was saying, or do you have different reasonings?
I mean, I think it just comes down to like your own like philosophy on SMEX or whatever.
I think most people don't think about the philosophy behind sex. I think people typically have deeper roots than that when it comes to their preferences. I think people don't look in crack open a philosophy book before they find what's hot in the bedroom. Like, they typically have those judgments beforehand, and they use philosophy or studies or anything like that to justify it afterwards. Typically.
Sorry, what? You cut out.
I was just saying
At
that
the end
typically
there.
philosophy and studies come after the actual reason as to why they care about it. They just use that to substantiate it.
Yeah, when I say philosophies, I just meant like your general thoughts towards like whether you view SMEX as like something that should be shared between like 2 intimate partners who like have romantic feelings for each other, or like whether you...
Yeah, I get that. It's just heavily influenced by how society raises you, right? Most people would have this view of romance that is heavily based on princes and princesses, or the ideal family unit that they're raised to idolize, or like the media that they consumed, and definitely were trained or socially conditioned to view romance a certain way, and that heavily influences their dating preferences as well, which is why so many people have different dating preferences depending on your cultural background as well. We understand that there's different beauty standards and preferences when it comes to the dating pool in many different countries and ethnicities and backgrounds, because our societies have conditioned our youth to view things differently.
Conditioned our youth to view things differently in what sense? Well, I
In the
just,
sense
for
of
me,
purely
it's
culture.
like...
In the
Okay.
sense of the societal expectations of the demonization of acting upon lust. I think specifically that is something that is very different depending on your culture.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's like... It's just kind of like a vulnerable act. I guess, you know?
It is a vulnerable act. Why do you care if somebody had a vulnerable act with
I just
people
don't...
before you?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think it's,
Also, do you think it matters for men or women or just women?
No, I mean, when a man tells me that they have like an insanely high body count, I
Oh, hey, girly pop.
I yeah, I think it would apply for men and women. I think it's usually a signifier of something.
Of what?
I don't know. Usually it's like people I meet that are like mentally ill are the ones that have like body counts in like the triple digits.
Or do you think mentally ill people stray away from traditionalism, which enforces this idea that you should remain pure until marriage? Because they never
I
fit
think
into those
there's
boxes
a
they were told to fit into anyway, so they don't really care about them.
well, I think there's a difference between waiting until marriage and sleeping with like hundreds of people.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
think
throw out
there's
that
a
big
huge gap.
number. We all saw it coming.
Well, I mean, body count matters to an extent, right? Like, if it's in the triple digits, I think that's pretty reasonable to say that's like an excessive amount of people, right?
I just see them as experienced. I don't see the issue. I think you can definitely make the assumption that they like sex if they have triple digits. I'm pretty sure I have triple digits, depending on what you classify as a body. But yeah, I think it just means you like sex. I think that's all it is. So if you're making assumptions about their character, about like how they view the world, I think that certain worldviews can be assumptions that you can make based on body count, depending on how high it is. But I think in general, it's like there's only so many things you can actually genuinely assume about a person based on that number alone. And it's a lot less than what people typically assume that fuel their body count preference.
Yeah, I'm just making a general statement. Like, this is just what I generally have noticed. It's like if someone has like a super high body count, it's generally the case that either they're mentally ill or they have trouble sustaining relationships with people.
You can believe that. I think that it's not very accurate, but you can believe it.
I mean, this is just, I'm speaking from, I guess it would be an anecdotal experience.
Yeah, and if you have anecdotal experience that fuels your preferences, that's completely valid and fine. It's just if we're arguing whether it matters objectively or subjectively to just you, those are two different claims.
So, why does body count not matter in your opinion?
I don't think there's sufficient reason as to why people should give a shit about people's body count objectively. I think if you subjectively have opinions about sex being sacred or you viewing sex as a super emotional thing and you want your partner to see it the same way, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I just think that you can't make a lot of assumptions about people based on that body count alone. Like a lot of people try to assume that they're unfaithful or view sex a certain way, which I think is very jumping to conclusions about somebody you don't know.
Well, I think, like, it's indicative that you don't see sex in, like, a very serious context. Or maybe serious isn't, like, the right word, but you see it as sort of, like, this casual thing to where you don't have to be in, like, a committed relationship with someone.
So again, you're assuming that they're going to cheat.
I don't think that's an assumption that they're going to cheat.
You don't have to be committed in a relationship with somebody. Are you saying that they just like don't like commitment? Or are you just saying like they're fine having sex outside of committed relationships, which is just like hookups?
Yeah, like they just have a more casual perspective on sex.
I mean, those are two different statements. Saying that they're fine with casual hookups is different than saying they have a casual view on sex. Because you can have a casual view on sex outside of relationships, but inside of relationships, see them as super like connecting or very important emotionally. Because you're having sex for different reasons, right? One is to get your rocks off, and one is to get your rocks off with the person you like or love. Those are two different things, right?
I suppose so.
I mean, yeah, we know people see it differently, but I think when people come to the stigmatization of high body count, they assume that they have that mindset on 24/7 with every single sexual encounter. Well, no, I think it's very individually based. And people that can like sex outside of relationship and view it as just like kinky fun can also have vanilla sex inside a relationship or kinky sex inside a relationship and see it very differently than they do outside a relationship, because one is with a partner, one is with a stranger, right?
Yeah, I mean, I generally don't think having sex with strangers is good for your mental health.
Do you have anything to back that up, or is that based more on personal experience or anecdotes?
I mean, let's see.
I think you can just say that you have a societal view that it should just be monogamous or super emotional, and that is fueled by this traditional view that you happen to agree with. Like, you don't have to agree with everything, but you could just say, like, that's why you care about it. It's something you, like, agree with in that sense. But it's just like, I don't think you have a lot of justification for it, which is why I think you agree more with the stigma aspect.
Where would you say I don't have justification?
Because you're throwing around a lot of these anecdotes and like, well, it's just my personal views, but then you're also throwing out actual claims about, like, you're trying to disguise them as not claims, but you kind of are making claims about them being unfaithful or having mental illness or viewing sex a certain way. So it's not just like your personal experience. You're trying to say like, well, this is why I believe this. I think it actually has factual backing to it, but you don't want to say that because you want to just keep it as your personal appearance or your personal perspective, right?
I mean, I think there are studies saying that, like, having sex with strangers, like...
Which one is it going to be, pair bonding or divorce rates?
Pair bonding, meaning what?
Based on verb behavior, does not apply to humans, even from the people who made those studies.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't quite understand.
Pair bonding does not apply to humans objectively, even by the people who made those studies, who said the evidence is very limited.
So this would only apply to animals? If it doesn't apply to humans?
Bird behavior specifically, it might apply to other animals, but we have not seen it apply to humans. But that's more about the desensitization as it comes to the release of oxytocin during sex, which women do more than men. So it's kind of trying to make this argument that women should care about their body count more than men, which I think is very convenient data for what they're trying to prove. But if they're trying to make the argument of pair bonding, we haven't substantiated that in humans at all. The evidence is very weak for it, and scientists consistently say that the evidence is very lacking in that department.
I mean, I found a study saying that engaging in casual sex may elevate risk for negative psychological outcomes.
Cool. Does that say pair bonding, or is it talking about other psychological elements which we can discuss? I think there can definitely be negative reactions depending on how you view sex or your relation to hookup culture. I think that hookup culture isn't for everybody. I think you shouldn't be peer pressured into it. And if you're peer pressured into hookup culture or you're not being safe, it can definitely have negative effects to your health or your mental health as well, which is why I can also promote that people shouldn't feel shame for liking sex and also should engage in safe sex and take precautions, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Cool. So that's what I'm saying. When you're jumping to conclusions based on your personal experience about people's character or how they view sex, I think it would be much more productive to just say, like, well, how do you view it?
Well,
rather than making an assumption based on a number.
Yeah, well, I feel like if the body count is a high number, the assumption is they view it in sort of a casual context.
Do you think sex workers don't have passionate, loving sex with their partners outside of their job? Or do you think they're just like doing a trick for their partner and that's all it is?
I mean, it depends. I think for a majority of sex workers, they just don't have relationships because it's very difficult. Most people are not interested in.
Yeah, heavily due to the stigma applied to them, but we're not arguing about them. We're arguing about the ones that do have them. Are they people with their own minds that can view sex differently depending on how they view sex? Or are they all just like, they only have sex flippantly and not emotionally because they have sex a lot?
I mean, if they're having sex with people in exchange for money, I would say this is a pretty good indicator that they view it in somewhat of a casual context to where they can.
It's an indicator that it is not always super romantical, which I think is a safe assumption to make. I don't think it's a safe assumption to make that it is always not super romantical, right? That's kind of what I'm saying, because the people with high body counts, they can have sex flippantly outside of relationships, and that's for fun. That's for their own personal reasons. Yes, some can be unhealthy, some can be definitely healthy and are just for fun or for enjoyment.
So these would be what I would consider to be casual interactions. So it would be...
Yes, casual interactions do not define how you view all sex. It can definitely define how you view sex in casual interactions, right?
Well, I think it's like engaging in like casual interactions.
Again, so you're just saying like the fact that you engage in casual interactions, you're kind of trying to make the statement without really making the statement that you can't view sex in a very emotional way. Or they're less likely to, which I think is still just a jump.
Well, I don't think it's that they can't view sex in an emotional way. I don't think that's the claim that I'm trying to make. I think
you're just saying it's bad that they can see it in a flippant way. And if you don't like that, that's cool for you. But again, don't be making the assumption that they can't view it in an emotional way, because that's kind of what you're saying without saying it.
Okay, well, that's
especially if you're trying to bring up studies about pair bonding.
Okay, well, that's not like a claim that I'm trying to push forward.
I mean, it kind of is if you're bringing up pair bonding, which is about desensitization and not being able to form real connections with people based on the desensitization of sex. That is kind of a claim you're making. Unless you just brought it up and didn't really know what it meant.
I mean, I think you were the one that mentioned it.
I asked you what study you were referencing. I said, is it going to be pair bonding or the divorce study? And you said, well, pair bonding. Short-term memory is hard, Dory.
It looks like the study I have here is just between the relationship between casual sex and like someone's psychological well-being. So I don't know if this would entail pair bonding specifically.
I mean, you said the words pair bonding.
Okay, then that was just me misspeaking in that case.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't have any real contentions with, I guess, your view. I think that if someone is fine with someone having a high body count, that's, their opinion. I don't think people should necessarily be shamed for it, but I also don't.
I'm sorry, bitch, but your positions were more watered down than just tequila soda that's been sitting there for 4 hours. Like, I just, oh my God. Oh, I don't want to waste my time anymore. I never made a point, then you weren't listening. If I'm wasting time, then you're watching somebody waste their time, which I think is pretty wasteful. Hi, how are you? Hello.
Hello.
Hi, what topic do you want to discuss?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to touch on the body count doesn't matter thing. I think it's just completely subjective.
Touch on it or debate it?
Yeah, it's just subjective. You can't tell people what should matter to them. Like
I'm not saying you can't care about it. I'm saying question the reasons as to why you do, right?
What?
I'm not saying you can't care about it. I'm saying question the reasons as to why you do.
Well, anyways, why do you think? And
so you did just want to bring it up and not debate it. Got it.
What?
So you did just want to bring it up and not debate it. Got it. Next.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's subjective. That's it.
Yeah, you just wanted to throw some shit out there and not get any pushback. Next.
You didn't push back anything.
I did. Next.
Or something?
Next. Next.
So now
you just wanted to touch on it, but now you don't want to let go.
Okay, so now you don't want me to push back on you?
Do you want to debate it, or did you just want to touch on it and move on to the next one?
All I'm saying is it's subjective.
Huh?
All I'm saying is it's subjective. The same way height is subjective.
No, you said it's objective. You said I can't debate it. It just matters to people.
No, I said subjective.
I mean, you're saying it matters. Cool. Some people care about it, some people don't.
To some people,
do you think I was arguing that some people can't care about it and some people can?
Do you know what subjective means?
Yeah, sure.
So?
And I responded to that. Some people have preferences. They should question the roots for that. Can you respond to that, or did you just want to ignore that?
Doesn't matter.
Because you said, I can't handle pushback, but when I gave you pushback, you didn't respond to it.
What do you mean I didn't respond to it?
I mean, you didn't respond to it. It was pretty clear. It was pretty clear.
So unintelligent.
I said, I'm not telling you to not have a preference, but you should question the reasonings for that preference. And you said, yeah, anyways, next topic. So are you going to respond to it now, or are you going to dodge it again? Make your choice.
It's not a good response, though, because I said it's subjective.
Questioning your reasonings as to why you have a preference isn't just subjectivity. It's what you are basing your beliefs on that you can question. Right? If somebody's basing their beliefs off of bigoted views or misinformation, do you not think that their preference might be influenced by correcting that?
Is body count doesn't matter a truth claim to you, or is that just your opinion?
I think the argumentation of body count objectively mattering for everybody isn't sound. And I think that if it matters for you subjectively, majority of the time that it's mattering for people subjectively is for bigoted reasonings that should be questioned. But I do make exceptions.
Do you think weight matters?
Weight matters?
Yeah, would you say weight matters?
I don't think objectively weight matters. I think weight can matter to an individual, and depending on the reasonings, it could be bigoted, it could be not.
Okay, so it's subjective, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why are you anti-raising children religious?
So next topic.
Yeah, what? Because we can't move on.
It sounded like you wanted to dive into the topic, and then you just got an answer you didn't like, and you're like, okay, next. No, next.
You're such a child.
Sweep that shit under the rug. You can't handle any pushback. Next.
Is this peak leftist mentality?
It's peak right-leaning pivots. That's what it is.
So
you pivoted so hard you need a hip replacement, bitch.
Like, subjective. Are you just gonna talk over me? Do you
You
think
just
we're
said I
tough?
couldn't handle pushback when I was responding to you, and then when I give you a response you don't like, you just ignore it.
Look, I know it sounds tough in your head, but I prefaced by saying that this is just one thing
And I
that I
asked you
wanted to mention.
17 times if it was something you wanted to debate or something you wanted to just touch on and move on to the next one. And I
Yeah.
said next 16 times in a row. And you said, no, 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 no. You can't handle any pushback on this topic. So then I thought you wanted to dive into the topic. But then when you tried to dive into the topic, you just went back to the other one.
Okay,
so
so now
you
you're
didn't want to
resorting-
dive into the topic. Why
Okay,
couldn't you
so
just
now-
say that? Why couldn't
now
you move
you're
on to the next
resorting to
topic when I
making shit
told
up.
you to
Okay,
15
so now you're
times in a
resorting to
row?
making shit up.
Answer that, Blairum, or you're gone. Why didn't you want to move on to the next topic when I told you to 15 times in a row?
I wanted to move on to the next topic, but you kept saying that I'm ignoring you.
I said next 15 times in a row, and you kept saying no, no, no.
Yeah, you
about this
said I'm
body count
ignoring
thing.
your
It's subjective,
pushback.
isn't
That's
it?
what you
It's
did when I
subjective.
tried to
No,
move
but like you
on.
have to answer that it's
You're resorting
subjective,
to
right?
making shit up
No,
now.
Blairum, you have to answer
Stop
that it's
talking
subjective,
over me,
right?
bitch.
Don't you have to answer that it's subjective, Blairum? That's what you did. You weren't moving on to the next topic. You
Yes,
weren't
I was
over it.
moving on.
You
Then
wanted to
said,
harp
look
on
at
it.
look at this guy ignoring my
You wanted to
pushback.
harp.
That's
I'm
what you
answering
did.
your questions. What did I
You're
not
not
answer?
intelligent, bro. You're not intelligent. You're
Well, then what
fat,
does that make
actually.
you?
Okay, so why are you anti-raising children religious? Are you gonna just run away from the question?
I'm here to. I'm not running. You are.
Yeah,
I
answer
said
my
next,
question,
and you
then.
didn't want to go to the next topic.
Answer my
Why?
question.
I said next. You didn't go on to the next topic.
Now I'm going to the next topic. Why are you running away?
Cool. Nobody's running away. You were the one who wanted to harp on body count a lot more, weren't you?
Okay, so
I
now
made
you're
a
saying I'm
rebuttal,
harping
and
on
then
the
suddenly
body
you
count
wanted to move
when
on to
I
the
said
next
I wanted to
point, and then
move
I
on.
said,
Like,
okay,
you're so
next.
disingenuous.
You didn't want to go to the next point anymore.
I literally said every time I wanted to move on to the next question.
Okay, I said next
keep
15
bringing it
times in a
back.
row, and you
Just-
weren't willing to move on to the next topic. But sure, now you're saying you were always willing
So
to move
here
on to
you're
the next
still
topic.
running away. And then
If you want to
you're-
lie, you can lie, but like nobody's buying it.
See, you're accusing me of running away while you're doing this literally the same thing. It's so
no,
funny.
I'm not.
Yes,
In what way?
anti-raising children religious. Why?
You shouldn't be raising children religious because we should set a precedent in society that we should have religious autonomy, and raising a large portion of our youth under your parents' religion threatens that idea. I do not think
How?
people should follow the rules of a religion that they haven't subscribed to yet or have the mental capabilities to understand before they're indoctrinated into.
So we should indoctrinate them about their gender, right?
Immediate pivot. Did you like that? Are you going to get that hip replacement soon, babe?
So you don't like
Hey, babe,
using
are you
your
going to get that
logic
hip
against
replacement
you?
soon? I noticed
So
that
you
you
don't
didn't
like
respond to any of
using
the
your
logic I
logic
provided
against
and
you?
just went whataboutism to the next
You
topic.
don't like using your logic against you?
It's not my logic. It's different logic.
No, it's not. I just used the same logic
It's not
you
my
did.
logic. We're not
Okay,
telling
how
people
is it harmful
okay,
to be
Blair,
raised in a religious
I'm gonna dumb
household?
this down for you, and if you don't respond to it, we're gonna move on to the next guest. But I'm
Yeah,
giving you
you're
the chance to
gonna kick
respond
me
to
anyways
it.
because I know you're
I'm giving you the
disingenuous, very bad
chance to
faith.
respond to it. We'll see. Okay?
No, you're just gonna kick
It's
me
not an
anyways because you're
immediate
bad
kick.
faith.
It's dependent on your answer.
You're
if
a
you're going to be
pussy.
good
You're
faith
just
in this
gonna kick me
conversation,
anyway.
you're going to get muted now because you can't listen. I know it's so hard for you to keep up in this conversation, but I'm really being simple. I really am. So I'm saying I'm going to give you a response, and if you respond good faith to it, then we're good. We can continue the conversation. If you're going to pivot to another thing and another point, then it's going to end here. That's all I'm saying. I don't waste my time with people who aren't here in good faith. So I'm here to respond to you. I do not believe that education about gender identity is equivalent to indoctrinating people into believing and living their life according to a faith. Because we are telling people to be who they are, you're telling them to conform to what you believe. Those are two very different things.
That's just based on an assumption, though,
What assumption?
that teaching kids that gender ideology is not harmful.
Yeah, I didn't say harmful or non-harmful in my statement. I was saying
But,
one was
yeah, you didn't,
education
but
and
that's
one
what
was
you mean.
indoctrination.
You said religion is harmful, while
No,
not
I didn't. I
acknowledging
said
that
one was
gender ideology
education,
is
one was
also harmful.
indoctrination. I didn't say religion was harmful. I said this concept of raising people within religion was harmful. Those were two different statements. Please
Can you
be good faith in
answer
this
why
conversation. I'm trying to be good
religion is
faith back.
harmful? Can you tell me why you think raising children in religion is harmful?
Because of my initial claim, going against this precedent in society that people should have religious autonomy is bad. People should have control over what they believe when it comes to radical spiritual claims. Those decisions about big questions of life shouldn't be answered for you. It should be of your own accord. And especially when it's things that you're committing your life to. Those are things you should have autonomy over.
So you should give puberty blockers to kids without even reaching.
Thank you for pivoting again. Thank you for proving my point. Thank you for proving my point. Buddy, I just said if you pivoted again, you were going to be gone. And you're saying, answer this question, answer this question, answer this question. And then I answer it, and you move back to the other shit I just said didn't equate. And you didn't explain how it equated. Blaram, you're being bad faith. Just stop being dumb. If I explain that something isn't equivalent, and then you use that same exact example to try to disprove another argument I was making, you're being bad faith. And you're dumb. I know you're too dumb to understand how you lost that argument, but it was really bad and really embarrassing, actually. I explained how it wasn't equivalent. You didn't contest that. You didn't say how I was wrong. You didn't prove me wrong on anything. You just said, but what about this? What about this other thing that you already disproved? That's what you said. Twice. As a pivot and not an answer. You suck at debating, sir. You really, really suck at it. Oh God, I wish you could just like view the reflection of what you did because it was really embarrassing. Reflect, babe, reflect. Y'all, I told you I'm not wasting time on people who don't know how to fucking debate shit. Debate the wall if you don't want to debate me, because clearly you weren't engaging in good faith. I said that we shouldn't be setting a precedent of no religious autonomy in society, and your answer to that was, what about trans people? You literally pivoted away from the point I was making so hard. You didn't address whether my point was correct or incorrect, why it was flawed logic, why it was good or bad. You just said, what about trans people? Again, after I just said it wasn't equivalent. You're trolling. Blaram, you're trolling. You're trolling. You once again ignored everything I said. You're trolling. I don't believe you're a real person if that's how you genuinely talk. Like, dead ass, is your brain, are your synapses like firing? What do we do to deserve this? We were born this way, so we deserve punishment for it. We deserve to be punished for being who we are, 100%. That's why. And I think it's really desperate of you to troll and rage bait in the comments while being in requests. Fan behavior? Anyways. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. What topic do you want to discuss?
Let's do the first one.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. The first one, sure. What's your thoughts on it?
I believe if we're going to allow that type of education, we should also allow the third one. Like, we should allow the...
You mean the second one?
The third one. Separation of church. We should allow conversations about religion and all that kind of stuff as well. And
cool, from an educational basis and not an indoctrination basis. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah,
that's the point I bring up commonly when it comes to the second topic.
Well, same thing with the LGBT, like no indoctrinating as well too, like just education.
Well, no, because you consider the education indoctrination. I don't. But I'm fine with religious education as long as it's not indoctrination. You see that differently.
I would agree with that if we're going to say the same thing for LGBTQ as well too.
I am fine with objective education about LGBTQ topics and religious topics in school. You are not.
No, I'm saying if we teach that, then we also get to teach about different religions as well too.
I just said that both are fine. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, if they're both fine, then we agree on that.
Cool. So then you're in agreement. Yay!
And the next point.
Y'all, I'm done for the night. Sometimes rage baiting works. Sometimes people coming up here with the express purpose of intentionally misunderstanding you and wanting to make you upset, it works. No, Butters, he's right. I am mad. So instead of debating this dumbass bitch, I'm gonna go enjoy other things in life that aren't trying to make people mad on a TikTok live. How about that? Because I don't like people that are dumb, and he was really dumb, and it irritated me. I'm sorry, y'all. I got rage baited because somebody was so dumb. Their lack of brain cells rubbing together to fire a single synapse really annoyed me. You win, Blarum. You win the rage bait. Throwing ad homs? No, I responded to every argument you made. You didn't respond to shit I said. And again, that's going to be the end of it because I made myself really clear. This is why people will never accept you. No, it's because I'm gay, not because I'm annoying. Duh. Do you think I was like a cool gay that would want to erase their ideas about gay marriage or about my sexuality being immoral? No. They would still demonize the fuck out of us because I go against other people's religious identity according to their interpretation and their societal standards. Oh, you talked mad shit and then got in requests like I was gonna let you up? Oh, that's embarrassing. Oh my god. That's funny. That's really funny. The fan behavior of rage baiting in the comments and then expecting me to let you up for a conversation. Oh, as if I wasn't already skeptical about being good faith before. Oh, that looks like it's it for the night. I'm gonna head out.